Hi, welcome to Coffee Talk, the show that will bring your community members to you. I'm Joe Hines, and today I'm joined by Congressional 2nd District Democratic candidate, Megan Wingfield. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, for starters, unless I'm mistaken, you are currently running for District 2 House of Reps, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so would you mind telling us a bit about yourself, like, for instance, where you're from or what made you want to run for it?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Bowling Green. I went to the community college there, Sky, and got a degree in automotive technology. And I guess what made me really want to pursue this seat the most is historically, with our representation here in Kentucky, they just don't really seem to vote in our basic interests. The policies that they push, their voting records will show that even though that they claim to be working class, pro-labor candidates, they don't push policies that actively benefit the working class. And I think it's going to take people like us, everyday working people, to go to these seats, hold these offices, who have the best interests of us at heart and not corporations, to really make that difference. And at the moment, for people like us to do that, is ever here, I think it's now.
So following that, is there like any things within your community, our community, that you would like to shed some light on at this moment?
You know, I thought about that a lot. Because the things that I do through like activism and protesting, I've seen so many things within our community, our state as a whole. But I would say at the forefront of my mind right now would be the issues that the unhoused face in our area.
Yeah.
There's a lack of resources and really compassionate care for people who just need a little extra help. And there's a great organization based in Bowling Green called the VG Neighbors Aid Network, and they do a lot that they can to provide supplies and resources and just every basic things that they need. So I've been trying to shed as much light on them as possible because not only do they just need donations of either monetarily or items, but they could really use volunteers because there's only about 7 of them working on that project right now.
So like following that, just in general, what are some things that go around in Bowling Green that you see happening where people help out to this? For instance, like, is there any sort of protest occasionally?
Yeah, so if you've been familiar at all with the activities that's been going on around in Bowling Green in our state since January, Sucky Indivisible partners with the nationwide individual chapter of 5051, and they do protests for, gosh, the myriad of things that have been happening. But I also am a founding member of a group called Sucky Solidarity, and we're just a group of concerned citizens who want to not only go out and protest and bring awareness to people about issues and their rights, but we want to do more community outreach. And we've done a great job so far of just finding people in the community who want to help, and we've been trying to push them their way to get volunteer efforts and just create a network of community-based care.
So, from what we've gathered, you're a political influencer, correct? You want to walk us through what that's like?
See, I don't mean to laugh, but I don't really consider myself to be an influencer, even though I do have a pretty, I wouldn't say sizable, but a good following on TikTok. I'm just a lady running for Congress who gets on the internet and yaps about things that I feel like matter. But it is interesting to see the reach that it gets, not even just within our state and our district, but across the country. And you really have to have a finger on the pulse of what is going on. You know, the 24-hour news cycle is constant, and using your platform to run a campaign, you have to constantly update and post and do those things. So it's almost like a second job. I commend people who do that for monetary gain, because I don't think if I didn't have to, that it would be something that I would pursue. So it's a roller coaster for sure, but it's also rewarding in ways because you find that community factor. I have actually connected with other people running for Congress across the country. I know a woman in California and a man in New York. So it's I lost one.
That was all of us.
You know, I lost my train of thought, but it's really it's a community, and you make connections with people who you've never even met before, and I just think that's a beautiful thing to have in the times that we're in.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
So, like, if someone were to try and figure out your socials, like, where could they find you?
Yeah, so I am on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook mostly. And it's Wingfield for Congress on all of those except for Facebook. It's just Megan Wingfield for Congress. And on all of those profiles, there's a link to my link tree, and it has all of my socials and hopefully soon my website. So, yeah, we're working on it.
So, as we were doing our own research for this interview and whatnot, we could not find like any publishings of your campaign finances. Would you want to share how those?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. And the only reason that they're not like public is per the FEC rules, you don't meet the requirements to file your financials until you've raised about $5,000. Beyond that, you just have to send them a letter every quarter and be like, hey, I haven't met the requirement yet. But we're doing well. I feel like I just started in April, and we have over, I think the last time I looked, it was like 50, close to 50 individuals through Act Blue who've raised about $1,000 roughly. So we're getting started, and we're getting volunteers who are going to want a phone bank and stuff to try to get that going, because unfortunately you need money to run for office. But that's
on the topic of finances and money and whatnot. Would you like accept money from any super PACs or corporations? Pure grassroots?
Absolutely. It's a big part of the platform. You know, I fully, wholeheartedly believe in putting people over profit. And I don't believe that corporations should have influence in our politics. So, no.
I actually wanted to ask next, considering the ongoing war between Israel and Palestine, would you or do you support like the sending of funding and supplies as a form of support to Israel?
Yeah. I don't think we should continue to fund, support, or uplift the genocide that is being put on the Palestinians by Netanyahu. You will find most of the time I would like to avoid war at all possible. But what's happening to the Palestinians is egregious, and I feel like more people, regardless of what side of the aisle if they sit on our politics, need to call it what it is and address it and stop funding it.
Now, I'm going to ask a more personal question. We've learned that you've had some experience with IVF, and within Kentucky itself, we're also aware of, the beautiful anti-abortion laws and whatnot.
Right.
So is there anything you would want to eventually work towards putting in place to support the process of abortion within Kentucky itself?
Of course. I mean, as a woman, obviously that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And our reproductive care goes well beyond even the right to choose. This is something that I say often, is that it's the bare minimum of what we're asking for. Not only should we be allowed to make choices about our own bodies between our doctors and ourselves, but we need to move towards spaces and policies that are going to empower us as women to be able to reach our full potential, to who we deserve to be, in this country, and that looks like doing things that will codify our rights as far as reproductive care into the Constitution so that it can't be messed with again, hopefully, if the administration's future actually abide by the Constitution, unlike we're saying now. But I think it also extends into putting tampons and pads and menstrual products into public spaces for people who have a uterus, and because you can't always predict when it comes, but there's also people who are on house who don't have access to all the time. Not everyone can afford those products, and it's a matter of public hygiene, and we should be providing those things for people. But I also think that we need to do away with the states' rights as far as regarding our health care. Yeah. Women should have access to the same health care regardless of where they live in the country.
I'm gonna say this out. I'm actually very thankful for where I grew up, because one of the things that happened as put in place by a senior from where I'm from, when I was in high school, they started a program where we were able to get menstrual products inside of the school bathrooms, and it was really good. As far as if you forgot something or you couldn't afford it, it was always there, and it's the same way with the College of Credit.
That's amazing, and I've seen it at just a couple weeks ago. I was at Lowe's in Bowling Green, and they had it there, and I'm seeing it more and more in public spaces, and I think that's fantastic.
It's nice to see it's even just the slightest amount of progress.
Yeah, even just the one small font for us as women. Yeah, it's nice to see.
Sometimes it's a little bit.
It's the small things. But I would love to see federal funding for that nationwide in all public spaces, so that everybody has access to it, no matter where you are.
Next question I got for you here. So, with how politics are right now, and all the acts of taking away LGBTQ rights, all the anti-LGBTQ policies and whatnot, taking away the current things put in place by Biden, and the removal of 998 hotlines, LGBTQ services, like, what are some things you personally think we should be moving forward in trying to help our LGBT community?
Yeah, see, this is another thing that really motivated me to run for office as a lesbian in the United States. I'm very familiar with the struggles that we face and the legislation that is there to actively harm us in order to move past harmful legislation and move into a true environment to where things are equitable and just for everyone. Again, we have to codify those things into our Constitution. We have to make sure they are inalienable. They cannot be infringed upon. I would love to see something that I talk about quite frequently on my platform in these spaces is a conversion therapy ban. Because, a study by the Trevor Project, I believe, was that conversion therapy in LGBT youth would actually increase the risk of suicide by 2.5%. And that's egregious. There's no reason that we should be allowing children to go through something so traumatic they want it lives when there's already so many things going on in our country that are unsafe and stressful. But I just think it takes, first and foremost, what we're going to have to do is actually clip these seats for real and get people into these offices and into these spaces that have our best interests at heart and want to see true justice and equity for all of us.
And I'm gonna go ahead and ask that final question here. So, is there anything you want to say to your fellow Kentuckians, maybe anybody else who sees this as well, like a quote, a slogan, words of advice, words of wisdom?
The best thing that I can say right now is to pay attention to the things that are going on in the country, because it's important and it's impacting everyone. It will touch everyone. And I can't express enough how important it is to get out and vote in the midterm elections, because that's honestly where people vote the least, and is, you could argue, one of the most important times of our election cycles. So I just encourage everybody to study up about the candidates who are running, decide who they believe would best represent them, and just go vote and make the change.
Again, thank you for your time today.
Thank you
Thank you for
having me.
allowing us to do this interview in general.
No, thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
To everybody who's watching, thank you for actually sitting through it all and paying attention and listening to us chat and talk. We are here today at the Hive in Glasgow, Kentucky. I will say the coffee is pretty great, and so are some of the desserts they got. Check us out on social media. Actually, this would have been posted by then, but we'll be posting more about our community as a whole and the people within it. Thank you.